Welcome to 40 Days in His Presence. Today is day number 13, and I'm reading from John chapter 4, verse 24. God is spirit, and those who worship Him must worship in spirit and truth. You know, when I was a boy, I remember visiting my grandparents' house, and when I visited their house, I heard all of these funny noises. Have you ever been in a house that creaked and groaned and moaned? Well, while I was staying at their house, I remember hearing this creaking and groaning, and I wanted to know what it was. So I asked my grandparents, and I remember the answer that I got was, "Michael, those are poltergeists." Poltergeist? What is a poltergeist? Well, they said a poltergeist is a friendly spirit, usually of a child who's died, and it kind of just wanders around in the house and makes all sorts of funny noises. Really? A poltergeist? Well, I wasn't sure what it was. You know, it could have been rats, it could have been pipes that were running throughout the house that would heat and cool. It could have been the shifting of the ground as the house groaned and settled into its place. But you know, the Bible says that God is spirit. When the Bible says that God is spirit, does it mean that God is like a ghost, like a poltergeist that kind of comes in and out of our lives? Well, this whole idea of a poltergeist can be cleared up in the Bible from a simple text in Job. Job chapter 7 and verse 10. And this is what it says: "As the cloud disappears and vanishes away, so he who goes down to the grave does not come up again. He shall never return to his house, nor shall his place know him any more." Well, that seems clear to me. That solves the issue of whether, when a person dies, whether they come back to haunt us or not. The Bible says that they never return to their house again. Whew, that's comforting. But what about the whole idea of God being a spirit? What does it mean for God to be a spirit? Well, I thought about this for quite a while. And as I thought, I began to think, you know, everything that we come in contact with in this world, we come in contact with through our five senses. We either see it, hear it, touch it, taste it, or smell it. Almost everything in the world we connect with through our five senses. In fact, some would say that if you can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't taste it, or smell it, or touch it, then it does not exist. But friends, are there things that we know for sure exist that we cannot experience through our five senses? Take, for instance, love. Have you ever seen love? Have you ever smelt it, or tasted it, touched it, or heard it? You know, love is something that we all experience, but we can't experience it through the five senses. And yet, even though we can't experience love through the five senses, we know for sure that love is real. Can a fish, a donkey, and a bird experience the world around them through the five senses? Absolutely. They can all see or hear or touch or smell or taste. But can a fish or a donkey or a bird experience love? No. You see, love is something that you and I can experience that other creatures on the earth can experience. Why? Because love exists in the realm of the Spirit. So does peace and joy, and so does God. And we experience God through a different way than we experience the rest of the world, because God does not exist in the physical world. He exists as spirit. And the only way to experience God is through your spirit. So how do we experience God through our spirit? Well, simply put, we can experience God through our heart and through our mind. Well, I'd like you to know this evening that that God is more than just an emotion. God is more than just a thought. In fact, Jesus shared with us what it means for God to be Spirit when He spoke with a man named Nicodemus long ago. Nicodemus came to Jesus by night. And in John chapter 3, verses 6 through 8, this is how Jesus explained God as Spirit. He said, "That which is born of flesh is flesh. That which is born of spirit is spirit. Do not marvel that I said to you, you must be born again. The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear the sound of it, but cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit." You see, when Jesus was speaking to Nicodemus and explaining how God is Spirit, He used something that we're all familiar with. He used the wind. The wind is an invisible force that exists on our planet. And although it's invisible, we know that it's powerful. Have you ever thought of how a bird can remain up in the air? How can a bird, fly through something that's invisible? Or how can something as invisible as the wind be so powerful it can blow the roof right off of a house? And yet so precise it can take a piece of straw and drive it through a wooden board. I believe that God gave us the wind in nature as an example of Himself, so that we could somehow comprehend who God is and how God as Spirit can very much be real. God is invisible, but just because God is invisible doesn't mean you can't experience Him. Although God is visible, He's very real and He's very powerful. And God can be experienced by you and me. God is not experienced through our five senses. God is experienced in the very core of our heart, in the very core of our soul, in the very core of our being. This is where we can connect with God. Deuteronomy 4 verse 29 says, "But from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find Him if you seek Him with all of your heart and with all of your soul." Today, as we open up devotional day number 13, I'd like to invite you, as you pray together as a family, to connect with God on a deeper level. Don't just connect with Him through words. Connect with Him from your very heart, from your very soul, from your very spirit. In this way, you can truly know God, who is in Himself Spirit. Let's begin.